Howdy folks, Kirk and Jay here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Today, many of you guys, probably 1,000 people said, Kirk, do you ever do the Styrofoam system or the polystyrene? It means the same thing, guys. It is what we used to call the stow system, very similar to Dry-Vit system. Now this, it's in regards to our values. We're working on a big track here. This is Bay Farm Island. 40 years ago, when I was an apprentice, maybe longer than that, we used to do about 7 of these a day with the scratch coat or the brown coat. And yes, we did do a lot of the key homes or the sample homes, the model homes. We did those 40 years ago. It's 40 years now. This house is 40 years old. So anyway, what I'm going to point out is, for all you folks who say, Kirk, do you have any videos showing the polystyrene or the styrofoam? This one. We do have a few more. But anyway, what is the styrofoam system? It's we put usually 1 inch. We did a video where we put 4 inches. Hey, we do what folks ask. Anyway, this is 1 inch. And here's something interesting, guys. What does the R value stand for? It's the heat ratio, resistance. So the house here. Now the contractor here, he says, Kirk, how come none of these houses have cracks? Well, I said 2 reasons. They have an expansion, but mainly they have the polystyrene board. And so when the sun rises and the heat gets on the walls, the heat will heat up 3 coats of stucco. The wood will swell and voila, cracks. With this foam board, it provides a moisture barrier, a lot of thermal explanation or reasons where the walls don't heat up. Thus, no cracks. Hardly any cracks on any of these houses. How do I know? I already went around the whole neighborhood and looking at the stuff we did 40 years ago. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure where to even begin here, but this is what we're doing, guys. You see this wall here? My buddy, Jose Capistrano, he redid the decks. He redid all this stuff. In the description, I'll put how to contact him. Or we're going to be here a few days, so we might even meet him. Here's what is important, guys. With I call it a stow system, S-T-O-W, I believe it is, and I've done it. The last one was a big gas station about 20 years ago. Anyway, what we have done is, this is a weep screed here. This weep screed is 1 inch and 3/8. Typical weep screed for traditional stucco is 7/8. So if we have 1 inch board and 20 gauge wire, as a rule we always use 17 or 18, but we're only putting 3/8 of stucco on here. So first thing, we put the weep screed, then we put the flashing, then we're putting the 2 layers of paper. We're actually going to put a 3rd layer over this because it's been set in a while. I'll show you kind of the idea. These weep screeds go on the mud sill just like they do for stucco, and then we paper it. We're going to drop this paper down here. It's in pretty good condition, but we're going to put another layer on it. Then once that layer is on, we're going to put the styrofoam board. I use a commercial grade styrofoam board. That way you can't go wrong. You go to Home Depot or some of the places you guys will travel to, they have home grade and then they have commercial. Get the commercial grade, pay the extra $40 a sheet. You can't go wrong, except for cell phone service. I used that in my attic with coatings on it 33 years ago. Now I don't get cell service. I got to go under a window. But anyway, we'll show you a little bit when we start to put the boards on and we stretch that 20 gauge wire. Then we're going to coat it with stucco and match the finish. Now this finish is a knockdown dash finish. Man, we are going to get rained out real soon. Take a view of all these airplanes coming in. We are on the bay, guys, and they're predicting downpours here any minute. I say let it rain because there's a bar close by here. I'm kidding. I don't drink anymore unless I'm by myself or with a friend, so we may get rained out. All right, guys. We got saturated with rain to our skins. We dried out. We're still here. I'll point out a couple things when I used to do the stow system and the Dry-Vit. A little bit different. Okay, once you got the rigid board, And by the way, guys, these guys not only put this board because of insulation purposes, but we got an airport right here. It's loud as hell here. Anyway, I wanted to point out that if you're going to use roofing nails to hang this board, that the board, that's really not important, guys. You can put like 4 nails on here and you're good, and then whatever siding you're going to get. But for us, we're doing stucco, so this netting here has got to go in this little groove right here. Check that out, Jay, underneath. Now you know why they have this board siding here. It's also noise reduction. But anyway, okay, get back to the train of thought. If you're going to put this on, do you have to go into the studs? We do. These are 2-inch nails to go into the stud at least 3/4 of an inch. If you're going to use screws, you still got to do the exact same thing. Go into the stud at least 3/4 of an inch. Tape, I'll point it out. Okay, I see a lot of guys, they'll use Dry-Vit tape here, or they'll use this Flash like what we've been using. You could use about 7 or 8 different tapes, guys. They're all good for this because you got to tape your joints. Don't think you could use electrical tape or Scotch tape. That's not the kind of tape I'm talking about. This sticks to it and seals it. Now, if you look up here, this is sealed like if it's the Ark. Is it overkill? Yes, it's overkill, but we rather have overkill. And when you put 3 to 4 layers of that Vicor Plus, the Vicor is what they use for shower pans. You build up, you build up, you build up. Now, for us, I wanted to point out, guys, you could use small washers, you could use these washers. These are the best washers. These come from Westside Building Supply, which is a professional plastering yard. Or if you're going to Home Depot or stuff, look at the size washers, guys. And I'm just going to prove a point. The little washers you really don't want. We want the bigger washers because the bigger washers will suck it in. And granted, we still got to wire this. So when we wire this, the board has a tendency to come way out. And so we need to suck it next to the wall as tight as possible. Let's see, did I forget anything? Like right here. We still got to suck this in. Otherwise, our netting, we won't be able to get 3/8 of stucco on here. So make a long story short, guys, get the biggest washers you could find. And I think Home Depot, these are about the largest you can find over there, or Lowe's or your hardware stores. If you want to go to your professional plastering yards like Westside, you can buy these guys here. I love these guys. So anyway, we're getting to the stage where we're going to take it to the top. We're not going to show that part. We did a job like 2 years ago, and I went and guys, if you do your own lath, we'll come and do the plaster work. So the guy lathed it, and it was all polystyrene or styrofoam, and he had caulked every joint. And I said, what do you use for caulking? He says, well, I use that stuff you recommended, the Sikaflex polyurethane caulking. I said, well, we use that for lathing when we seal things like this hole here. We're going to put polyurethane caulking. And I said, so you use polyurethane caulking all over this? He says, just like you said. I thought, imagine that. I never said that because we don't do it like that. We put a tape over it, guys. But caulking, that's for something else. Anyway, guys, we're going to take it to the top, and I think we got about an hour of daylight left. So next time you see us, we'll be putting the netting on. Okay, guys, for those of you doing the stow system or Dry-Vit, very, very similar. I'm going to explain some last things because we're getting beat up on this job. We got wind blowing everything everywhere. It's been raining on us again. This job has been cursed from the start. This is Jay's shirt, soaking wet. I had to go get some styrofoam. We're using this stuff right here to go around the windows. So I went to Westside and they said, Kirk, we're out of stock. And I thought, no way. So I had to call my other buddy, Achilles. Remember that movie Troy, Achilles' heel? If you guys ever, I'm gonna put this guy Troy's or Achilles' number in the description. You can get every piece of foam you ever just thought possible. I just left there and I picked up the foam. While I was driving, it was pouring down rain, and Jay said, man, I'm soaked on this job. This is the job from hell. Let's get out of here, but we're finishing it. Okay, so let's see where I left off. The styrofoam. Guys, if you get the styrofoam with foil on both sides, it can go either way. If you get the styrofoam with foil on one side, the foil goes on the inside of the house. Don't quote me on that, but Google it. I'll show you what I'm doing and explain the rest. Okay, now we got this foam board attached. We had to use 2-inch nails or 2-inch screws. These are the washers that I recommend you guys get. Get these guys right here. It's a whole box, like 10,000. We're probably going to use them all here. Last thing I hate to do is leave the job continuously to go get staples. All right, so Jay fixed this gun for me. This Makita, it's a pretty good gun, staple gun. What he had to do was fix it so that the staples don't rip the paper or don't rip the styrofoam. Will it rip it? Of course it will. But if it does, we just have to caulk those. So I'll explain something while I'm doing this. Wait for that compressor to die down, but what we're doing on this job is, this should be like improvised plastering, because everything is improvised. Now we don't want to go but 3/8 of an inch here, 1/4 to 3/8, and we're probably going to use 690 BMI for that, because it's the strongest and it's water resistant. Do these caps need to be caulked? Not really, but you could caulk them. This one I cut out for over here. A lot. There's so much to talk about. Again, here's the staples. These are monster daddy staples. But the idea is, when you guys are doing the stucco system and you have wood, we got to match everything that's done. We're improvising a lot on this job, guys. This is one of the most improvising jobs we've come across, where nothing lines up, nothing's right. We got so much stuff to do. In fact, don't tell me I cut this wrong. Okay, so as a jet, we've been listening to jets go by all day. That's why, or one of the reasons, I know I've said this before, why they have this board on here, because it not only has thermal resistance, heat, and all that jazz, it a sound barrier too. So now again, Jason adjusted this so it won't rip the styrofoam, but if it does, it does. And I keep it flat. If I go at an angle, I'll rip it. So this is a wire, guys, you'll never see us using. This is a chicken coop. This is 20 gauge wire. 20 gauge wire is for chicken coops, guys, or tile. Now, let's see what we are doing. And again, there's a whole lot of stuff to this that won't be said, because there's just too much to show on a video, unless I took this video and made it 2 hours. How many of you guys would watch a 2-hour video? You're probably thinking, hey, I'm tired of watching already. But I'll explain a couple things too. Now this, again, gets coated with stucco. What we're trying to do is match this finish here. I don't know if the camera will even show this. This is called a knockdown dash. And over here, we have holes that are so deep it would take, like, say, to caulk that over there, it would probably take about 15 tubes of caulking. So I figured I'll point this out, guys. You could use, depending on how big the holes are, you could use this stuff. And this is expanding foam. If I were to use, and we are using lots of different caulkings on this job, if I were to use caulking in those monster craters, I'd use a case like 15 tubes just there. You see this right here? This is a big hole right here. Can you zoom in up here, Jay, from right where you are? Well, there's a humongous crack there. We got to fill that void. And we got a lot of weird things going on here. They hit us, I said, we started this because they wanted to put a steel beam in the house. How'd they get that steel beam in? They cut a hole in the wall here, they cut a hole in the wall there. That's a header. That way when they're having breakfast, they could look over here and see the water. That's mighty cool. Look at those clouds over there, Jay. We might get hit again. It'll be twice in a row. I'm going to put an ending on this because we're not coming back tomorrow. It's Friday. It's supposed to rain most of next week, but we're going to wrap it up right now. But anyway, see those downspouts up there? Now, those are where the bolts are coming out. And so I had told him, I said, man, if the bolts are coming out there and it pushes the styrofoam out 2 inches, how are you going to get the gutters on there? John was pretty clever. He said, that's why we hired you guys, because 6 years ago, we had something similar and you guys fixed everything. I thought, okay, I like that answer, man. So we cut it out, but we still got to do something with that, either caulking, stucco, but we got to, it can't be bowed way out there because the downspouts got to go in there. How did we attach these on here? We use Sikaflex. We Sikaflexed it, then we screwed it on. You'll love this, guys. Okay, we take, for the styrofoam itself, we're taking 2.5 inch screws. Here they are. For the styrofoam trim, wood trim, look at these screws. These are 6-inch screws that we have to put through those little rubber washers and get them up in there. So this is, again, there's a lot of stuff to this particular job. I would advise you guys, I keep thinking that jet's gonna overpower my thinking. Not, I know I got these ear things in, so hopefully you guys could still hear me even with that jet going by. But if you guys are gonna do this, go to Westside Building Supply, because Home Depot don't sell these, Lowe's don't sell these, and these, you're gonna need a box this big. How do I know? In the description, I'll put where we did a house about 4 months ago, 4 inches of styrofoam, so we needed 6-inch screws to get the 3/4 of an inch in the stud. And man, I swear we went back. I went to every hardware store in that neighborhood and bought them all out with washers. So I'm looking at this thinking that might not even be enough washers, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. One of the things Jay and I like to do is have everything on the truck. Jay customized the truck, welded a top. We come to a job only once. We never leave. But when we do these systems, you got to have everything you need. Otherwise, like that last job, I left a total of about 7 times, spent 15 hours. That's not our style. We have everything we need on the truck, except maybe excess sand. Anyway, there's a lot here that we cannot explain, and probably you guys thinking you've already bored the crap out of us with this stuff. But if you have any questions about how to do it, leave your comments and I'll get back to you on. I've already answered like 120, or I responded to about 120,000 comments and questions. So anyhow, my name is Kirk. Jason is on the camera. No idea when we're coming back because we're tired of getting rained on. We thank you guys for watching, and as usual, we'll see you on the next one.
All right, folks, we want to thank you for watching how we do things in the stucco and plastering world. We really enjoy your questions and comments, so if there's anything you want to learn about that we can show you, please let us know in the comments. And as always, from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.